Greetings from Southern Yankee Homestead. I'm Paul, and this is our homestead. Today we're going to be trying to attach this auger to our Mini X. I've seen this online a couple times. Don't necessarily like the way some people are doing it, so I'm going to show you what I think is the correct way to do this. If I'm wrong, someone in the comments will comment. Before we get into the installation, I want to explain why I want to go this route versus the tractor. This has certain advantages and certain disadvantages. We are down on the lower end of our property in my laydown yard where we have this, which is a 3-point auger. It uses bits. I have several of them, different sizes. The big advantage to this is you can get to where you're going to put your hole very quickly. The two disadvantages are you have no down pressure and you can't reverse it. So it goes quickly, and if the soil's right, it will burrow quickly. But if the soil's dry, I have done dangerous things with this where I put a 6-foot digging bar on the end to put down pressure to try to dig into dry clay, which is our area. So I want to try the excavator, even if it's slower. If it corkscrews into the ground, I can always back it out and put less down pressure on. Depending on how this auger works on the excavator, we'll sell this. I did forget one thing. Hydraulic fittings. Sorry. So I think we're going to start with the usual. Now these hoses don't actually go to this. The hoses that came with this are significantly longer. But I don't need significantly longer hoses, which is evident by the tilt bucket that we did a couple weeks, well, yeah, maybe a couple weeks ago. So these hoses were actually the original hoses for the thumb. I didn't need them, but I didn't get rid of them because, you know, might need them. Alright, before I crank this down, I'm going to do something different here. Be right back. Took a minute, went back to the garage and found a 24mm socket that fits on this so I can actually crank it down correctly. Yes, I'm saving all the caps because you just never know when you need a cap. This is probably standard. It'll work. So this adapter is an M16 by 1.5 DIN light to I believe it's a 3/8 NPT going to a quick coupler. We're not going to put this one on yet. I'll show you why in just a second. Let's get this mounted real quick. slippery. Well, I topped this off. The reason I ran it without the end and ran the fluid through it is because I was concerned with the fact that this has been outside for a while. So I don't know what kind of rust was in there. I don't know what kind of preservatives were in there. And, well, my hydraulic fluid is contaminated anyways from the from my initial fill up, or from the last change, because there's no good way, or easy way I should say, to get all the fluid out of the cylinders. And since I had extra fluid here, I figured why not just run some of the fluid out and top it back off. So by my theory, why not just flush some fluid out? We get rid of the whatever's inside that unit when it spins. We get the air out of the lines, and we get rid of some of our old fluid that needs to go away anyways. It'll take a little adjustment to get used to, but I just drilled basically a 3-foot hole that quickly. I had my reservations about this initially. One, if you saw my other auger, the blades here had teeth on them. Those are both a blessing and a curse. They were good, but occasionally they weren't so good. So they were occasionally not so good when you get into any kind of roots. They get caught in those teeth and wouldn't self-clear. You'd actually physically have to remove them, which made it more difficult to dig. But with the hydraulic down pressure on this seems to be doing fine, and worst case scenario, I can probably retrofit some teeth to this. Looking at this, you see how I have the bracket on the bottom and the hoses towards the front? That is intentional. I did that specifically so that when I go to put this up, the bracket will be resting on the ground, not the hydraulic lines, because I'm not going to physically lift this. I'm probably not even going to remove the auger, in all honesty. I'm probably going to leave the auger bit right on there and just set it down, disconnect it, and keep moving. Very recently in one of the forums, someone put this on that had the hydraulic lines going the other way. I understand the theory behind that, but I have no intentions of drilling a mountain face anytime soon with this. I'm going to be putting in fencing, and these lines, when they're facing away from you, you can't see them. So you'd be very easy, as if you were watching, I was being very careful. I only went as deep as the lines would allow me to go. You know, I don't want to be digging, you know, because theoretically you could go up to here with this, in which case you're just blowing your hydraulic lines off in the process. If I had a 90-degree elbow on there, it might make it a little easier, depending on what I'm using for a bit. But this will protect the lines. I just can't fold it all the way in, no big deal. And if you notice, I rested the blade on it, or rested it on the blade when I put it up, because when I move, it's going to take some of the weight and shift it back. The other problem the guy was having was it was very tippy. It's going to be tippy when you have that much weight that far out in front of you. These don't have counterbalances on them. Well, mine does, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to put a counterbalance on it, was because of one of these. And another item that's hiding over there that we might get to this summer. Depending on your soil type, this will be good. If you're in a rocky state, you know, like the Rockies, maybe not. So take a look at your soil type before you get one of these. If you're in the granite state, New Hampshire, this probably isn't going to work for you. There's too many rock. You're better off just getting a backhoe and digging a hole, or getting one of these and just digging the hole and putting your post in. Again, depends on where you are. For us, we have just straight sand and clay, which sucks sometimes, but that's what we have. So, did I forget anything? Oh yeah, if you want to see more of this, subscribe, because the next video I do on this is going to be in the orchard extension. We're going to be extending the goat fence out past the orchard. Yeah. So, again, want to see more, gotta subscribe. If you don't subscribe, well, you might see it, you might not. Either way, hope you enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe see you in the next one. I don't know. Bye. Greetings from Southern Yankee Homestead. Southern Yankee. Yeah.